At moments, John Kerry seemed to be embracing that alternative survivor mission. Unhappily, he never went the whole way with it, and maybe he and others judged it politically impossible to do that. So he never asked, how can we ask a man to be the last man to die in Iraq, as he had in relation to Vietnam when he made that marvelous testimony in 1971 before the Senate subcommittee. How can we ask a man to be the last man to die for a mistake? He almost said that the Iraq War was a mistake, but mostly he said it was bungled and done wrongly, and he never completely embraced the truth of the Iraq War, in my view, which is that the presence of Americans in Iraq is what creates the continuous violence, and the alternative survivor mission is the nobler one, in which we seek to leave in as responsible and quick a fashion as possible in order to diminish the violence in Iraq. There are more and more, so that's the alternative survivor mission, which more and more Americans are embracing. More than half of Americans now have grave doubts about the justification of the war in Iraq, even though many of them voted for Bush in the election because they thought he could protect them more. But there are more and more comparisons with Iraq and Vietnam as a quagmire, something that sounds like quicksand in which one is annihilated and cannot escape from the mess one is in. There is a possibility in all this for what can be called survivor illumination. I studied in earlier work some of the work of Albert Camus, Kurt Vonnegut, Günter Grass, their capacity to immerse themselves in their death encounters and then to write novels and nonfiction about that death encounter in which there was illumination about the historical era and about what the psyche can learn. Gary Wills did the same thing in writing about Lincoln at Gettysburg, survivor illumination. What we're realizing in seeking survivor illumination is that atrocity-producing situations are not all that America can do. When I, years ago, told some students at Yale who were quite radical that I was going to review a group of books about My Lai, they said, "Why bother? My Lai is America." I say that My Lai is not America, Abu Ghraib is not America. We have descended to both of those, and we can restore some of our moral compass and find more humane applications for our considerable power in the world, and that has to be our task now. I think that opposition in the near future is going to take the form of an anti-war movement, and an anti-war movement in relation to Iraq could well focus on what I'm calling this alternative survivor mission. As it is now, with the superpower syndrome, which we have to kick, we place ourselves on a treadmill and we become a Sisyphus with bombs. We can do a little better than that. And we also embrace a kind of absolute victimization. I was very moved when I went back to Hiroshima after some years and people told me, we're worried about exaggerated victimization as though only we have been victimized in the world. And the way that some of them overcame that was to meet with Holocaust survivors and exchange their experiences and understand something more about the pain and victimization in the world. We have to seek to overcome our exaggerated victimization in relation to 9/11. And we have to also allow for greater ambiguity and recognizing vulnerability as an aspect of the human condition. So here I think it's very useful, again, to return to Albert Camus, who spoke of a philosophy of limits. Camus said that to live and die as human beings, we have to refuse to be a god and embrace thought which recognizes limits. Camus also said, "He who does not know everything cannot kill everyone." Wise words. Finally, let me say that the survivor can either close down or open out. In terms of post-9/11 survival and the other survivals that I've mentioned, we can close down with our numbing and fantasies of of revenge, or we can open out to seek some kind of illumination in terms of our own crises, in terms of the sources of our pain and the pain of others that we, in many cases, are inflicting. And we can take steps toward diminishing rather than increasing the world's violence. I'll close with two quotations. One is from Seneca, which is 2,000 years old and means as much today as it must have meant then. Power over life and death, don't be proud of it. Whatever they fear from you, you'll be threatened with. And finally, Theodore Rutger, the American lyric poet, in a dark time, the eye begins to see. Thanks very much. Thanks. Thanks very much.